Hello everybody, this is Skarest here, bringing you another exciting episode of Skarest on Gaming, where we take a look at various news going along the gaming industry. Sorry if I sound a bit off today, I am just getting over being sick. My nephew decided to give me strep, and that was very nice of him. We have a slight change in game going on in the background. I do still plan on playing through Super Mario RPG. I just wanted to throw in something a little different. Decided to play with Terraria, figuring it is one of my favorite games I've bought in quite a long time. And we got a little bit of Terraria news we're going to throw in there to begin with. Nothing too much. So let's jump right into it. Nothing big on Terraria. All that really came about it is that Relogic decided to post their own video to the trailer for the Xbox 360 version of Terraria coming out, which has new content and all that kind of fun pizzazz, but nothing big on that. I just wanted to talk real quick about Terraria in general. I love Terraria. I do think there's some severe issues with how they left the game. Not saying they left the game incomplete. In fact, they did so much for this game, it's ridiculous. Now, of course, keep in mind when the game first came out, people were always talking about, oh, all this free content they gave. And the game was basically a beta when it came out. It was not a full-fledged game. Nowadays, yes, most definitely. My only problem I have, and this is a general issue I have with everybody, this is not just a, oh, I'm bashing on Red and Relogic and all that kind of stuff, is the idea that they are going to release this on a new system, in this case through the Xbox 360 Marketplace, with new content, which they have said they don't intend on having released for the PC. Now, if they do release it, then all of what I have to say is null and void in regards to them, but just as a general thing, we're going to go through this. The idea of releasing, you have such a huge player base that came about because of the PC. You had 1.6 million copies of this game sold on the PC. You've had such a huge fan base that you end up being able to get picked up by Microsoft and have another game company actually want to make your game for the 360, because it's not even him making it. It's, I believe, 505 who's actually making the game. Yet the content's not coming out for the PC. That seems ridiculous, and it drives me up a wall. So hopefully they'll release it for the PC, but even if they don't, I'm not buying it for the 360. I played on the PC, I enjoyed it on the PC. That's not about to change. But it's a great game. If you have not played it yourself, pick it up. People will sit there and say, oh, it's Minecraft. It's not bloody Minecraft. I like Minecraft alright, fine. Not a huge fan of it per se, but I like it alright. This game, while it does of course have the building elements into it, unlike Minecraft, this game actually has a game all the way through it that doesn't have to be user created. This game actually has bosses and advancements and all that kind of fun pizzazz without it having to be purely user created. So it doesn't have as much of a free realm as Minecraft, which is what Minecraft is really good for, is the fact that you can go in there, and if you have a little bit of programming sense and things of that nature, you can create just about anything you want in that game. And that's what makes that a particular great game. This doesn't do that, so don't expect that in here. This actually, you will be following kind of a progression order when it comes to things like your armor, your gear. You'll be going through certain bosses, and eventually you'll be able to beat the big boss of the game, which actually just puts the game into a hard mode. Makes it fun enough. So pick it up if you haven't. Great game. I love it. I'm going to play this for a little bit going through here as well. Bounce back and forth between this and Super Mario here and there and all that kind of fun stuff. I just want to add something a little more variety, something a little more recent, and a game that I personally just really enjoy playing. Okay, moving on here. We have The Secret World. The Secret World is kind of a modern day MMO, even though there are still monsters and all that kind of stuff. It brings a lot of things like Illuminati and all that kind of stuff involved into it. If you haven't played it or checked it out, I played it during the beta. Haven't played it since then. It wasn't all that interesting to me personally. But they are becoming basically free to play, where it's more of actually a pay to play. Kind of like how Guild Wars is. You pick up the game, it's $29.99 I think right now is how much it costs. You pick it up, you can play for free. What's nice is that they're doing their free to play type of model pretty correctly in my opinion. What they're doing is they have it where you buy the game, you have everything that's up to date right now through the game. If you pick it up and register an account before December 31st, so the end of the month, you're able to, at that point in time, play. You'll get the next issue, which is what they call their updates or their expansions. They call them issues. So you'll get the next issue, which is issue number 5. Otherwise, you buy the issues through the store when they come out. There's also subscription-based membership. With the subscription-based, there's the Master and the Grandmaster. I don't know what the cost for the Grandmaster is. I know the Master is $15. The Grandmaster may just be that you sign up for a year or 6 months instead of just doing it month to month. Not sure. But you sign up for that, and you'll get a couple different bonuses and all that kind of fun pizzazz in there. Bonuses are going to include things like you get an item that will allow you to double your XP for an hour, but it's on a 16-hour cooldown. You'll get points, or bonus points, which are used to actually purchase things within the store. You'll get $10 worth of those every month to spend in the store. You'll get a mystery item given on the first patch day of each month, and as well as you get a 10% discount on everything within the item store. If you're a Grandmaster, you get an additional 10% added to it, so bringing it up to 20%, not 10, then another 10, because that would actually make it 19%. But those are the type of things you pick up. If you already currently have sub time left, and when they do this transition, I don't know if this is already being done or when they expect to do it. I believe it's already being done. If you go ahead and you've already got sub time left on there, they'll give you a 1200 point bonus as well as the XP boosting item. But of course, once your subscription expires, you'll lose all the other various discounts. So if you had any interest in the game at all, but didn't really want to get involved into the having to pay for another MMO, I know that's part of the reason I didn't even give it too much of a serious look, is I pay for one MMO, and that's all I'm going to pay for. $15 a month is enough. I don't want to make it 30 and 45. You end up killing yourself with those kind of things quickly enough. Then you may want to go ahead and pick it up, just so people know its rating, stuff like that. It is rated M for mature, for blood, partial nudity, sexual content, strong language, use of drugs, violence, and of course it is an MMO, so it should be rated for adult only, for the fact that you're going to deal with morons. Joking about the adult only, just fully prepare the fact that you're going to deal with morons. Okay, so Square Enix has announced that it has a new game coming out, not a whole lot of information on it, and it is a browser-based title called Stargalaxy MMO. Now, Yahoo Japan is actually going to be taking the reins of the whole entire browser-based part of it, which I don't know if Yahoo Japan does better than Yahoo America. I'm hoping they do, but that's who's going to take a hold of it. I haven't seen anything about this coming over to the US, but what it basically is, it's going to be a sci-fi MMO that any particular server will have 2,000 players on it at any time, including some people being able to act as the commander-in-chief, El Presidente, all that kind of stuff, and managing various things like the resources, infrastructure, all that kind of fun pizzazz. You're able to go ahead and help with the war effort by building things like your bases, getting resources, capturing other planets, and all that kind of stuff. All the battles are card-based, so it's not like going out there and you're not doing a button mashing type of MMO. You're not just clicking your left click all the time, nor are you doing a hotkey based of things of that nature. And you'll learn new skills, and units can be leveled up and all that kind of fun stuff. There'll be 4 different playable factions going on in the game, and they are looking at starting a closed beta on December 20th. Not much more information out there. The website is completely in Japanese, and my translating software will not translate their website. It translates parts of it, but anything that's actually in the Flash section, my translator will not translate into English, so I wasn't able to get a ton of information off of that, but I will link it below. Maybe you got better luck than I do. I didn't feel like spending a whole lot of time trying to get it translated, or of course maybe you just have, Japanese. So if you do, then great. We're going to look at Kevin Levine, or Kevin Levine. I'm never sure how you pronounce his actual name. He is the developer of Bioshock, as well as the president of the, It's Infinity, I believe. But he is Irrational Games, excuse me. I was thinking Infinity because of Bioshock Infinite. But he is the president of Irrational Games, as well as the fact he's creative director, lead writer, and all that kind of fun stuff. And so basically, he is the guy fully, wholly, completely in charge of Bioshock Infinite. Well, he's come out and he gave a little bit of a talking, a little bit of speech on tackling social issues within games and things of that nature. And I kind of agree with him on what he has to say for the most part. What his point of view is, and I will quote him, "For my own personal taste, I'm not afraid of any topic, or I wouldn't walk away from any topic because it's controversial, and I wouldn't run towards any topic because it was controversial. There's a story I want to tell." I agree with him wholeheartedly. The idea of trying to force a a societal or a political narrative or anything of that nature into the game, to me, is ridiculous. Tell the story. If you got a story, tell it. One of the things he's talking about to interview is that bringing up things like sexual orientation and all that kind of fun stuff, because I know there's been a lot of different calls for people to bring in homosexuals into the games and have more homosexual characters and all that kind of fun pizzazz. As he puts it very simple, is that if the character is just going to come out, oh, by the way, I'm homosexual, and then it has nothing else to the story, it doesn't serve a purpose. It's the same idea, though, honestly, of just coming out and saying, if a character blatantly just said, oh, by the way, I'm heterosexual, okay, does that matter to the story at all? If it doesn't, then it doesn't matter. Now, however, if it's something paramount to the character, some type of development, some type of the story, then dear Lord, put it in there. That's what I want. I want you to develop the story properly. If you can make it fit into the story, then I don't care what you add into it, as long as it makes sense into the story. That's what we're looking for here. And that's what he ends up talking about, is all that kind of fun stuff. And I agree with him. There's been a lot of talk about dealing with sexism and things of that nature in the video games and all these societal issues. I don't personally think that's what the game's roles are, one way or the other. While I don't think they should be going out there trying to deal with all the various things and all the sexual issues in regards to sexism issues, in regards to men and women and all that kind of fun stuff. Their goal is to make a good game. Make me a fun game. If you can do that, then you got my attention. However, if you can't do that, then we got a bit of a bigger problem. All I'm looking for is something fun and interesting to play. That's what I need my people to go ahead and do for me. If it fits into your storyline, do it. But don't try to shove it into the story that it doesn't work in. That's all I'm really looking for in that front. Now, other news dealing with Bioshock Infinite is that it has been delayed again. Now, originally Bioshock was due to re-release back in October. It got pushed back way until February, and once again it's being released. Now we have it set to hit stores on March 26th of 2013, so a month later than its last pushback. Now, of course, the developer is Kevin Levine, once again, in this case, coming out saying it's primarily just polish and bug fixes. It's not like there's a huge issue with the game or anything of that nature. They're wanting to just make sure everything is clean before it comes out released. I can't remember, it was one of the Nintendo folks, and I can't remember who it was off the top of my head, who basically sat there and said that a bad game is a bad game forever. A delayed game is a good game. Basically saying, if you're not positive with it, delay it for another month or two, clean it up, make sure what you're releasing is what you want. And that's what they're going to do. So it's not too big of a deal. They already missed the Christmas season shipping season anyway, so it doesn't really matter for another month, in my opinion. Just kind of leave it be. Now, also discussing back to Square Enix a little bit. We're going to jump between those two, apparently, for the moment. Square Enix has decided to put out a rather non-kosher Facebook promotion for Hitman Absolution. In this particular case, now they've already done really bad with the marketing on this game anyway. There was a whole entire Agent 47 kills sexy nuns video that came out some time ago, which was, questionable in its taste and nature. Well, they did a Facebook app that kind of fits along that same narrative. Basically what it is, it's where I can go on there and I can issue death threats and hire hitman type of stuff to my various Facebook friends. Well, that's already a little... Now, of course, these are fictional, made up, meant to be fun. But the problem is that you could also target them for various traits and things of that nature. And if my language hurts anyone here, I do apologize. It's not necessarily very strong. It's more of a teen language, and I try to keep everything friendly for everyone. So if you are of a younger crowd, stop listening for just about a minute or two. But what it's referring to is that you'd be able to note your targets by noting things like their tiny penis and, quote, small tits. Or you may be able to decide to have them killed because of their terrible taste in music or for cheating on a partner and things of that nature. Not the best way in the world to possibly handle things, needless to say. This didn't last long. Rock, Paper, Shotgun covered the story pretty quickly, and very shortly after that, Square Enix yanked it off with an apology. Quote, "We were wide of the mark with the app, and following feedback from the community, we decided the best thing to do was remove it completely and quickly. This we've now done." And I guess that's an apology for saying, hey, we did something stupid. that made no logical sense. That's just bloody offensive. So they went ahead and they issued the apology. Hey, we screwed up. We did something kind of dumb here, so please don't ram us anymore on this. So Square Enix got in the news twice today. Good for them. Now, what I'd like for Square Enix to get in the news for is, I don't know, finally giving that HD remake of Final Fantasy X, or maybe going back and redoing things like Final Fantasy VI and Final Fantasy VII, due to the fact that, let's be honest, I don't think they've made a crap worth of Final Fantasy since, Final Fantasy X. 13's alright, don't get me wrong, I didn't mind 13 too much, it was a decent game, but I prefer 6, and and 7's alright. I'm not one of those people who, oh my god, 7 is the greatest thing ever. I like 7. I think 6 was a better game overall. I enjoy 10 very much. I like the sphere grid and all that kind of fun stuff. And they can make so much money if they would just do that. And I don't think Square Enix really understands what made their past games as great as they were. They keep coming up with these new, innovative, various type of things they do for the games and all that kind of stuff, but what their focus needs to return to, purely, is the story. The story is what sold the game. And, in my opinion, turn-based RPG. I like my menu turn-based stuff. I prefer it more than to action RPGs, but that's maybe just a personal preference. A lot of people, especially the younger crowd, can't do that. This is the Call of Duty type of crowd, and it's kind of hard for them to go ahead and get into a game of that nature when it can be very slow and very methodical, but I like that type of gaming. I think it's well more thought out with what I'm doing. It adds a bit of almost strategy when you're trying to think that way. They really need to go back in that. I love Square. I mean, Square defined my childhood for the most part, with things like Chrono Trigger and Super Mario RPG and the Final Fantasy series. And then Square makes a lot of great games now still. I mean, Deus Ex Human Revolution, phenomenal game. And that's a Square game. They can definitely do some good things with it. They've got to refocus on what they're trying to do. Not do this goofy, stupid stuff. Let's just make them proper, make them good. Okay, well, we're going to take a look at something a little sad, and that is 38 Studios, which 38 Studios was the game company owned by Curt Schilling, which was the one who made Kingdoms of Amalur. Well, Rhode Island has finally got around to suing them, which this was expected to happen. There was a $75 million state loan given to them in order to move them into Rhode Island in order to supposedly help with creating new jobs, which made no sense, figuring almost their entire staff was moved with them from their previous studio, which I think was in Texas, but I'm not 100% sure. So I don't know how many jobs they really would have created in the state of Rhode Island anyway. They moved more people in to take the jobs they were bringing with them, but that's relatively about it. Well, they're finally being sued, and that's not really all that surprising. In fact, the lawsuit names quite a lot of people in it. Of course, it's bringing up Curt Schilling and some of the other brass of 38 Studios, like Jennifer McLean, Richard Wester, Thomas, and I won't even bother. It's Zaccagnino or something like that nature. I'm bad. But it's also bringing in the former Rhode Island Economic Development Corporation head. That's quite a title. Keith Stokes also brings Wells Fargo into it and Barclays Capital, which I will also link to where you can go ahead and pull up the full complaint and all that kind of fun stuff. But basically what it's coming down to is that they believe that the EDC never properly investigated 38 Studios for its ability to finish, actually, Project Copernicus, which was the MMO that would be based on the Amalur series. And it's also having issues with the fact that there was a hidden commission, they say, of $500,000 to be earned by Wells Fargo, and that these were concealed, these facts, from the EDC board, which is the Economic Development Corporation board. So they did not know aware of this, which is why Wells Fargo ended up to get themselves on there as well. Now, 38 Studios recently had to have an auction of all of its assets and all that kind of fun stuff, which ended up only netting them about $830,000. And the IP for Amalur is recently valued only at $20 million, so nowhere near enough, of course, in order to get the $75 million that the state's going to want back. Of course, if we really want to get into it, how much money that state, I don't know for sure. I don't live in Rhode Island, but I'm going to assume, because most states seem to do this, how much money that state probably blows on all kinds of other stupid things. That $75 million is probably chump change. It's just very high profile because of Curt Schilling and the fact that it was a disaster on how bad they went out. Now, if anybody here hasn't actually played Kingdoms of Amalur, it's not a bad game. Not a great game, not a bad game. Mainly, the problem that I had with it was that it was way way too easy. If you did any side quest at all, when it came back for you to continue the main story, you were so grotesquely overpowered compared to everyone else that it was embarrassing. That you would just destroy everything, and to me that makes it sad. I want a game that if you just blow through the storyline, it's really hard. If you do the side quest, it's still a challenge. I like doing the side quest at level. I don't want to do the game, come back for the side quest at the beginning, and blow through all of those. I want a game that continues to give a challenge if you do the side quest, but if you don't want to and you're a main story line type of guy and a speedrunner, that it just murders you. That's what I'm looking for out of them. Give me the challenge, or at least make sure I have a difficulty capability where I can up the difficulty and make it harder for myself at least. I don't want a game to be impossible. I don't play on the highest levels of video games. I play on a good solid normal, or the ones if it's only 3 difficulties, I play the middle one. If it's 5 difficulties, then I'll normally play the 4th difficulty, that kind of stuff. I want a bit of a challenge is all I'm looking for, and unfortunately Amalur was not able to provide that. Great story concept, but they also bit more than they can chew. The idea of a fledgling company trying to come out there and build such a massive concept and throw an MMO into it, that's hard. It really is hard. And the person who I actually feel bad in all this is Kurt Schilling, because I don't know how, I'm sure he'll do fine, I'm sure he'll make plenty of money, but he spent so much money on this, it's insane. But we'll see what happens in regards to that. Okay, last bit of thing we want to cover is we're going to go over a few here, and there's been quite a few game studios that we lost in 2012, and we're going to talk about a few of them and the games that they created and all that kind of fun stuff. They either lost because they were just altogether shut down, or they were just absorbed by another company and they just eliminated the branding altogether because they decided it wasn't that important, and all that kind of fun pizzazz. So a few of the ones that we lost is we ended up losing Hudson Soft, which Hudson Soft was founded back in 1973 and best well known for 2 different games, which was Bomberman, as well as it was developing for the Mario Party series for Nintendo. Now, I love the Bomberman games growing up. Great multiplayer games. Remember playing that quite a bit with my brothers and also playing it actually with my mom. My mom was a big fan of Bomberman when we were growing up. Great multiplayer type of game. Good single player game as well. Just simple, nothing overly complicated, but it made it a lot of fun. And nothing quite ticks you off as much as trapping yourself in a corner with a bomb. So we bid farewell to Hudson Soft. We also have the Sony Liverpool, which was formerly Psygnosis, I guess is how you say it. I'm bad with pronouncing things. Best known for Wipeout. They were formed back in 1988, so another old company. Ended up going away, unfortunately. We also had the Imagine Engine end up disappearing. They were founded back in 94, and the only thing that most people probably really know them for is the fact that they created Apples to Apples. I enjoyed Apple to Apples. It gave case for the creation of eventually of Cards Against Humanity, which is basically the slightly more interesting version of Apples to Apples, I guess is a good way to put that. If you haven't heard of it, go check it out. It's not meant for kids to play, most definitely. But Apples to Apples is a fun game. Sad to see them going away as well. Zipper Interactive, founded back in 95. They were known for SOCOM series. They ended up biting the dust as well. And let's see here. We got quite a few on here. Like I said, there's about 20 or so big ones. Black Hole Entertainment disappeared. They were founded back in 2011. Best known for the Heroes of Might and Magic 6. So they ended up biting the dust as well. So there's been quite a few that end up going away, which is sad. Well, folks, I do thank you all for watching. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything of that nature, go ahead and hit me up in the comment section below. Otherwise, subscribe to the channel, all that kind of fun stuff, and keep on gaming.